When I reread the book when I was an adult, when I was 30, when I came back to the text, I was shocked by how much of it was so incredibly modern and felt like it could have been written yesterday and was just flying off the page. It felt like it was all written in neon. And I think particularly something that was arresting to me was the portion of the book when they're adults. And originally the book was published in two parts. There's the first book, which is 1861 to 1862, which is, roughly Christmas to Christmas. And what we think of when we think of Little Women, it's like girlhood. And then there's the second half of the book, which is several years later, and they're young adults, and they're navigating the world and figuring out how they're going to be sisters, but also artists and mothers and workers and friends and wives, and how they're going to get along in the world. And for me, I was so fascinated by that section of the book because I felt that I'd almost missed it when I was young. It wasn't the thing that lived in my collective memory, and I think didn't live in anybody else's collective memory. So what I wanted to do was start the film I was making grounded in adulthood so that I could squarely center on this question of authorship, and particularly Jo March / Louisa May Alcott's authorship, and start with her trying to sell a story, and then go back and be able to create this tension when we see childhood is of that kind of idea of is that what happened, or is that what you remember, or is that what happened, or is that how you wrote it down? And I think that that's something I'm always interested in as a writer myself, as an artist myself, is taking the stuff of reality and then creating something else out of it. And the non-linear narrative allowed me to do that. I hope that they feel what I feel, which is, you want to crawl inside the movie and live with these people, because to me that's such a feature of moviegoing, particularly, at Christmas time, that feeling of wanting to be inside that world with those people. But I think what I hope it does is it's both the warmth and the heart and the coziness of this movie, and that makes it so delicious and people hang on to it for 150 years, but also that it gives them that spark of inspiration, that spark of, now you go do it, now you go write your song or your book or make your quilt or tell your story in some way, giving it back to the audience. And I hope that's what they walk out of the theater with. I hope they're moved to create. Having a diversity of storytellers means having a diversity of perspective, which means every time you go into the movie theater and the lights go down, the chance that you'll see something totally new and something that you couldn't have anticipated is much higher. And I think that that's what's so exciting to me as a viewer. And I've found such an amazing team of people, and Amy Pascal has worked tirelessly for this movie and for my vision of it, and we have this home at Sony which threw their weight behind it, and that's impossible to overstate how much that means, and it means in the industry, and it means to me, and it means for the future of this movie and for women's stories in general, that they gave it a big old canvas and they said, you go get what you need. And that's, I'm eternally grateful. Well, I always joke about this, but I truly feel like Little Women it's like my superhero origin story. It is the radioactive spider that bit me, that made me want to be a writer, a director, to have these big dreams. So I think that from then till now, it continues to be the book and the character that girls who are ambitious move towards, because it's our original lady who said, I want to write, I want to make, I want to be the best, biggest I can be. And I think that it's something that women are often made to feel like, don't say that out loud. Don't say that you're ambitious. Don't say that you want big things. You'll get punished for it, and it's not appealing, and boys don't like it. And that she did, and that Jo is this person, and that Louisa May Alcott did write this book, and she did, by her bravery and by her artistry, pulled us into the 20th century and gave voice to countless women authors that I don't know if we'd have today. I don't know, because the women who talk about loving this book, the women of, as kind of far-flung as Simone de Beauvoir, to Elena Ferrante, to J.K. Rowling, to Patti Smith, to Gloria Steinem. It's a lot of different kinds of women. And they all say, this is my book and Jo March is my girl. I don't know what would have happened if it hadn't been written. Maybe we wouldn't be where we are. Working with such a beloved text was daunting because it is beloved by me and so many people, and you don't want to mess it up at all. But what was so gratifying about it was going back to the source material and going back to Louisa May Alcott's actual text and treating it with reverence, and also her writing in her journals and her letters, and kind of the all-encompassing research that I did about grounding this in as close to Louisa May Alcott's mind as I could. So that was what was... It was daunting, but it was also the thing that made it exciting. The cast is wild. I mean, Meryl Streep, Laura Dern, Bob Odenkirk, Chris Cooper, Florence Pugh, Eliza Scanlen, Emma Watson, Louis Garrel, James Norton. It was just a crazy cast. It was every day I felt like I was pinching myself, and also I thought that this stature of actors are coming to really play was pretty extraordinary, and it really speaks to the power of this book and the sort of love that they all have for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey You Guys!